Well, a very good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to News at 1 here at SHANI TV. Of course, it is Thursday, the 17th March 2022. My name is Nema Titus. Even as we go straight to our news this afternoon, Deputy President William Ruto has today met with the country's trade association in Nairobi. The conference focused on business strategies with Deputy President Ruto promising a better business environment in the country once he becomes the 5th president of Kenya.
And decisively with corruption, conflict of interest, and state capture. We must deal firmly. We must be clear that the fight against theft of public resources cannot be a subjective fight, because then we lose it. It must be a fight that is based on the rule of law. You've said here that our judiciary get 0.6% of the budget. The standard worldwide is 2.25 of our budget. That's why disputes in the business space take forever. That's why corruption cases take forever. And therefore, justice delayed become justice denied. We must operationalize the judiciary fund. And I will operationalize the judiciary fund day one. That is the first signature that I will put, so that we can free the judiciary to discharge its mandate, so that the judiciary can deal with disputes, so that the judiciary can deal firmly, decisively with corruption cases. I do not understand how anybody in their right senses, instead of operationalizing the judiciary fund and getting the judiciary to discharge its mandate independently, anybody could be imagining that you need an ombudsman appointed by the executive to supervise the judiciary so that the judiciary become subjective to the executive.
Moving on, the Azimio la Umoja leaders have demanded Deputy President William Ruto to resign. This is after the remarks he made on Tuesday during the UDA National Delegates Conference, where he attacked President Uhuru Kenyatta and his government, accusing him of state capture and allegedly weaponizing state institutions. Jubilee Party Secretary General Jeremy Kioni said Ruto's actions are out of order, particularly because he continues to insult the government from within and from government officers, among other resources.
Deputy President. These are all options that are available, and he should do the honorable thing to resign. In any case, even the Constitution says that you cannot belong to two parties and be a member of the government, the executive, and especially occupying the office of the president and the deputy president. And I want my colleague to talk about the members of parliament. It's also important to say this to colleagues who have moved. Again, the Political Parties Act is very clear, and also the Constitution. You cannot belong to two parties. If you have moved on to another party, you have, in essence, relinquished the position that you are holding on account of the party that took you to that position. And it is important to know that in the coming days, in the coming weeks, days really, those letters will be finding their ways to the speakers, because we have many of our colleagues who have moved, have paid nomination fees in other parties, and we will not be honest. We will not be behaving in a decent manner if we don't do the decent thing, and that is to inform the speakers that those members have ceased being members of the parties that took them to Parliament. Now that will happen also to those at the county assembly level. And this is for purposes of ensuring that we have decency in the political arena, and especially as we go ahead to prepare for the coming elections in the month of
And to a sad story, Jackson Kiprotich Kibor, a wealthy businessman and politician from Eldoret in Uasin Gishu County, passes on this morning. In his late 80s, Jackson succumbed after battling a long illness in St. Luke's Hospital in Eldoret. He has been using medical oxygen since October 2020 after he contracted COVID-19. Mr. Kibor was admitted to the intensive care unit days before his death.
My name is Gonjoma.
Two suspects are being pursued by the police while one has been detained to help in the investigation of the attempted robbery in Kisumu. The hardware, which is located along Obote Road, captured the incident on CCTV as the armed robber attempted to rob money from the hardware and then escaped using a motorbike a short while after. Millers complain of excessive charges from the counties produced. The aim is to foster collaborations to drive food safety agenda as well as to harmonize the current charges of cereals and other food products in the country by the county governments, which said to be triple of what is required.
As millers, nobody is against paying cess, is a tax. The only thing we're asking the government is to try and harmonize this cess tax, because the biggest problem we have is every county that you pass, you have to pay cess. So at the end of the day, it makes this commodity unreachable even to the less marginalized, because all this one is actually factored at the cost. We normally push it to the cost for the consumer.
So you can imagine if a bag costs 3,000 and then cess comes on top to add another 1,000, that a bag becomes 4,000 shillings when you are putting it in the mill to mill, and that means the consumer will have to bear that cost in these hard times. And again, these taxes are actually, those cesses are illegal. When we engage with this county government to find out which part of law are they using to charge the cess, it doesn't exist.
And moving on to agriculture, the government and the stakeholders have today introduced new strategies to increase the tomato production in Kirinyaga and nutrition in the country. Royal Seed Company today has launched a new type of tomato seed, Royal 705 F1, which according to the company is a very valuable tomato production in Mwea area. The director in the Ministry of Agriculture in Kirinyaga, Muredi Mukungo, said that Kirinyaga produces 1,000 tons of tomatoes, where the farmers receive a profit of 1.5 billion shillings every year.
Added advantage kubwa sana kwa hii nyanya, inachukua muda mfupi sana kwa shamba. Inachukua tuingine added advantage ya hii nyanya ni vile inapanga. Kupanga ni kusema idi yake iko juu. In comparison na zile zingine, hii una harvest for more than 1 month continuous, for more than 2 months. Ukistart ku harvest sasa, hii nimeanza kitu kama 2 weeks back, nita harvest another 2 months.
Bacterial wilt ni ugonjwa ambao ukipanda nyanya ambapo tu inatoa matunda, nyanya ile inakauka, ambapo utapata wakulima wengi wanaenda hasara kubwa sana kwa sababu ile mmea utaweza kufika sokoni. So nyanya hii inaweza kustahimili wa ugonjwa. Na historia ya ukulima pande ya Kirinyaga ni kwamba kuna ugonjwa wa bacterial wilt katika hizi mchanga zao. So it's a big relief kwa wakulima wa Kirinyaga kwa sababu wamepata mbegu ambayo itaweza kustahimili ugonjwa ule.
Mimi ninaona hii nyanya, hii ndio njia nzuri ya kurundia kulima. Juu hii mmea haina ugonjwa, hainanga ugonjwa. Kasa hii niko kwa shamba kwa rafiki yangu. amelima inyanya 705 F1 na haina magonjwa.
We have had problems with many diseases. We have had problems with the heat because sometimes it can get quite hot in Kirinyaga. And so this variety, which is able to withstand some of those major diseases like bacterial wilt, verticillium wilt, and many other critical diseases in tomatoes, will be a plus for the farmers of Kirinyaga County. They will reduce their input.
Moving on to the international news, China has gone back to basics of containing COVID-19 after an outbreak of a new wave. The government has imposed strict lockdown affecting millions of people in major cities. The new wave is driven by the Omicron variant. The country has gone from reporting below 100 cases in a day to reporting thousands of cases on a daily basis.
Tens of millions of people now living under lockdown in China as the country battles its worst COVID-19 outbreak since the early days of the pandemic. This outbreak has spread far faster than previous waves of less infectious variants, with daily cases skyrocketing from a few dozen in February to more than 5,100 this week, that being the highest figure since the early 2020 outbreak in Wuhan. The number may sound low compared to other countries, but it is alarmingly high for a nation that has attempted to stamp out outbreaks and chains of transmission with a strict zero COVID policy throughout the pandemic. For SHANI TV News at 1, my name is Gonjo Maina.
And to our sports news, Kariobangi Sharks missed a golden opportunity to climb to 5th Kenya